Oh, Hilton stay, your beds are soft and cozy. No lumpy couch, no stiff futon, no shower line at crack of dawn. Oh, Hilton stay.
When you want holiday comfort you can count on, it matters where you stay. Enjoy comfortable rooms and friendly service when you stay with Hilton instead. Save up to 25% this season when you book with Hilton. Hilton for the stay. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by Nespresso. Gift magical mornings with Nespresso Virtuo Pop. Compact and stylish, Virtuo Pop is made to meet every morning coffee craving. From espresso to coffee, hot or iced, at the click of a button. And celebrate the season with Nespresso's limited edition coffee flavors. Sweet almond and hibiscus, cinnamon and candied tamarind, and festive double espresso. Magic in the making. Shop the holiday gift collection exclusively at Nespresso.com.
While the Whos of Whoville were laughing and eating, the Grinch from his lair sought to wreak havoc on their season. He thought, how do I ruin their holiday meals? A plan sprang to mind, which he enacted with zeal. Dill pickle seasoning on fries will make for a green surprise. And I know they'll be shocked with these loathsome odd socks. So if you want to experience the Grinch's mischievous meal, head to McDonald's and show him how you really feel. The new Grinch meal, now at McDonald's. At participating McDonald's while supplies last.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba. Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
Popeye's Scary Good new Freddy Fazbear Box has garlic palm tenders and cheesy bites with marinara sauce. Try it before it's too late. And see Five Nights at Freddy's 2, only in theaters. Love that chicken from Popeyes. Limited time at participating U.S. restaurants.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Kelly Green Hour as the Philadelphia Eagles fall to the Chicago Bears 24-15 in excruciating fashion on Black Friday. It seems like the Eagles wore all black and told the fans they'll wear all black for their own funeral, as they came out lackluster once again as the Eagles finished the first the first third of the season at 4-2. They did the second third of the season at 4-2. If they follow that route, that means they're going to lose in the wild card round, but let's hope they turn things around. As always, I'm your host, LJ Harrell, and joined by Connor Donald. Connor?
I mean, you nailed it. The only thing more depressing than the Eagles is that I've been dealing with a house full of sick people, and I'm the only one. Me and my 1-year-old are the only ones who haven't gotten it. So either, fate is tempting me and I'm bound to get it here soon, or hers is going to get it soon, or we're getting past. But I mean, yeah, let's just dive into it. There's not much good to talk about.
No, not at all. And we're expecting snow tomorrow, apparently. That would be fun. I like the snow. It depends if it wreaks havoc. We'll see. But before we jump in,
you love this weather. This is what makes
I do
LJ
like this weather.
Click.
I do like this weather, but sometimes it messes with work. And if I can't work tomorrow, I have to work Saturday, and I'd much rather work tomorrow than Saturday. That's a different story for a different day. Before we jump into the game, as always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LJ Harrell. Follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, wherever you get your podcasts at Eagles Pinpool Network. And then if you're joining us live, let us know your thoughts if you have any. Positive ones, that would be nice, but there's going to be very few. On the game Friday, as the Eagles fell to the Bears. The Bears are now the number 1 seed in the NFC, as the LA Rams fell to the Carolina Panthers, and another shocking result. So on Thanksgiving, all the favorites lost. The Eagles were favored on Monday. They lost. I started, when they do these pools, I was 0-4 before Sunday, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, so I don't even know where to start. The Eagles, I don't blame, and I was saying this on the post-game show, on Friday with Eagles Eric. I don't blame the defense. Look, the defense was on the field a lot against Dallas. They've pretty much won most of our games this year with the ineptitude of this offense. They are, I hate stats, obviously. I like the eye test, and the eye test can see this, but they're 28th in offense success rate, which is the worst in 20 years, and we're going back to 2005 when McNabb was hurt, Westbrook was hurt, T.O. got kicked off the team, and Mike McMahon, I think, was starting. So that's how bad the offense is. And this isn't like there's no offensive talent here. Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley, A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. There is talent, but the offense just can't do anything. And I think it starts with the coaching staff. Has Jalen been playing good? No. And he missed Devontae Smith, obviously. Now, Kurt Warner put out a tweet was saying people kept bringing up the Dallas Goedert was open. Yes, he was, but Kurt Warner said don't pay attention to Dallas Goedert because there was a blitz coming and that wasn't Jalen's first read. It might not even have been his second read. So if he would have gotten to that, it might have been too late because there was going to be a defender in his face. But when it was a choice route for Devontae Smith, obviously, it depends on what the corner's doing, where he's going to go. Is he going to sit? Is he going to take the slant inside? Jalen read it one way. Devontae read it another.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think, at the end of the day, I'm really frustrated. Like, it came out that, Nick Sirianni slept on things evaluated over the weekend, and he still sees no reason not to have Kevin Patullo as a play caller. And you hit it with that stat. It is the worst success rate for the Philadelphia Eagles in 20 years. There's only about one thing that changed between this year and last year outside of Mekhi Becton, and that is that Kevin Patullo became the offensive coordinator. And at this point, if we were still in week 4 or 5, okay, I'm more than willing and open to giving more time. But we're now in week 13. We're barreling towards week 14, and not a single thing has changed about this offense at all. It is still elementary. It is still defenses can read it like a book. At this point, they probably don't even have to film study because you can just watch highlight packages. You don't even have to watch all 22 footage to see what's going on with this Philadelphia Eagles offense. It's so sad. And I mean, like you said, has Jalen Hurts played the best? I mean, you can argue that there's really nobody who's playing their best football on this offense outside of maybe, Dallas Goedert at the start of the season. He's kind of faded off. And then Devontae Smith throughout this season. They've both been probably shone the brightest. I know that A.J. Brown has shone brighter the last 2 weeks, but these 2 weeks have been ugly losses. And when you look back at the full season product, he really hasn't been. But to think that the offensive line is exponentially worse. Jalen Hurts has seemed to take a regressive step back after competing pound for pound with Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl, 2 Super Bowls. It's so obvious. It's so plainly obvious what the problem is. And I know that it's not going to fix overnight by changing the play caller, but really you can't continue down the road that we're going on with Kevin Patullo calling plays and expect to make it anywheres past the wild card round. Anywheres, because at this point, our chances at the number 1 seed are already slim. We're on our way to giving up the damn division the way the Cowboys are playing versus the way we're playing. And I get it. It's only 2 weeks. A lot can change in 2 weeks. But still, the way they're playing is you can't really laugh at the Cowboys right now because they're actually playing extremely well. Their defense is doing a lot better. We can laugh at the decisions they made to get to this point. Maybe they could have been made a lot sooner, but we can laugh at that. But at the end of the day, we're the team that is struggling the most. And we've been struggling all year. But like you said, the defense has been able to kind of lift up the offense and find a way to squeak wins out. But they've played, I can't remember the total math. They've played 170 odd defensive snaps in less than a week. That was across 6 days that they played. I think it ended up high 160s, but that's crazy.
They've been out there for
so
they played 67 against Dallas. It wasn't 90
and then it was 82 or something.
So it was 140 to 150. But that's what I'm saying. And they were on the field for 40 minutes compared to the offense being on the field for 20 minutes. The Eagles offense could sustain drives. One thing you said about Sirianni did say that is Patullo. One thing Sirianni likes is the competitive advantage. It wouldn't shock me if he's not saying that. If you're Roseman and if you're Lurie and you see what has happened to this offense with all the money that you have put into this offense and they are down there with the likes of the Jets and the Saints, you're having a meeting with Sirianni and saying this isn't allowed. We cannot continue with Patullo because they don't want to lose this season because the offense can't do crap. And it's apparent. One thing that could be better is And I think I said it on Friday on the postgame show, and I say it. I feel like every week me and you get together, is the play can get called in faster because it seems like Patullo calls a play and doesn't think ahead. You should be 2 to 3 plays ahead. You know, if you know, outcome A happens here, we're going to do this. Outcome B happens here, we're going to do this. If outcome C happens, we're going to do this. But it seems like he calls a play, sees what the outcome is, and then goes to his play card and figures out. No, that's why they should not be breaking the huddle with less than 10 seconds on the play clock. Because when that happens, it doesn't give Jalen or the offensive line a chance to scout, to survey the defense, and if they want to make changes, to make changes. It doesn't give them a chance if they want to have motion, do a motion. The plays need to come in and out. In and out. That would allow, and I'm not saying they have to snap the ball with 15 seconds left on the play clock. No, give the offensive line, give Jalen, give them a chance to scout the defense, and if they have to make a change, make an audible, make an adjustment, they can do that. But because they snap or because they break the huddle with 9 seconds, they have to rush up, and as a defensive line, you know that the play clock is rushing down. You can get off the ball, get after the quarterback, because they have to snap it like right away. So that's not helping this offense one bit. So I do think somebody else will be calling plays on Monday. We just won't know about it until potentially Monday.
Yeah, and like you said, they may not even say who it's going to be, or they may just try and put on their best Hollywood acting performance and have Kevin Patullo look like he's calling plays, but have somebody else calling him in. I mean, at some point on Monday night, someone would catch it and realize that it's not happening. But I agree with you. I kind of put out tweets during the game, and I just mentioned the 2 guys who have previous play caller experience. There's Scott Loeffler, who's a quarterback's coach, came from Bowling Green, and then there's Parks Frazier, who called plays for half a season. The infamous Jeff Saturday half season that he got to coach in Indianapolis, Parks Frazier was the one that was calling plays there. So you do have experience there, and it's not like you have to. I mean, if we're being honest, the playbook is elementary. The route trees are garbage. We know that. You don't have to completely alter that playbook overnight. Like, if you're changing play callers, you kind of probably are stuck with the general elements of this offense for the next 2 to 3 weeks because you'd be implementing a whole new offense. So you're only going to probably change certain elements of this offense. But we know, like, one thing was like a guy like Scott Loeffler has really good experience with maximizing his players, getting the most out of his players, playing in an offense that really would probably be conducive to some pretty significant success for Jalen Hurts. But, I mean, at this point, you'd still be stuck with a lot of elements of this offense, even through into the playoffs, because you just can't change an entire offense like that. But someone who's called plays before would know, like you said, the mindset and have the mentality of thinking a play ahead, thinking a couple plays ahead, leaving it in Jalen Hurts' hands periodically. By the time Jalen Hurts gets up there, like you said, he doesn't have time to survey the field. He doesn't have time to make a decision to audible out of something, or if it's an RPO, does he have time enough to look at the defense that's in front of him and to really genuinely decide if he should run, pass, or whatever the other option might be? Probably not. And that's the reality of what we're seeing with this offense. We continue to see the play calling come in late. Like, even if we saw small improvements of the play, the play getting in sooner and, more of a script than the first 15 plays of the game, then I'd be like, okay, maybe we can give Kevin Patullo more time, but it's the same situations over and over again. And then the penalties still exist. You had Steen with one, you had Dickerson with one, A.J. Brown had 2. I think he's got like 8 on the season. It's crazy, the amount of penalties, just procedural penalties and situations that are coming up in this offense would not happen if you give the offense optimal time to get to the line, evaluate things, and realize things.
I will say one thing because I think one of the penalties on A.J. was a pass interference. That was BS.
It was.
Because CeeDee Lamb's pass interference, or the pass interference that was called against Cooper DeJean the week before, CeeDee Lamb had it was in the face mask of Cooper DeJean, and they called it a DPI. If that's not an OPI, then what A.J. Brown did wasn't an OPI. And then, if you watch, I don't know if you had a chance to watch the Bills game yesterday, not the Bills game, excuse me, the Washington-Denver game yesterday, on the touchdown in overtime for Washington, there was a pick there that didn't get called, but Devontae Smith did against Dallas was called a pick, which, again, he barely touched anybody. So, like, there are definitely favoritism maybe going on around the league. Who knows? To try to help a certain franchise.
We've talked about it throughout all of this season. The NFL has a ref problem, and we know that they have a referee problem. We know that they probably need to have more of these guys be full-time so that they can actually watch tape and more consistent. Like, I know, like, the head guy, the head refs are full-time employees, but they do other things in the off-season and stuff, but all of the other guys may not necessarily be full-time. Like, you need people to be able to watch and get consistency and really understand the game to the deepest aspects rather than Monday morning they wake up and they're off to their next job or their other job. You can't have that, especially in a league that year after year after year is having record-breaking profits. It's not like you don't have the money to throw, $100,000 at, 5 or 6 of your either more important referees beyond the head guy. Like, there's no reason that you're not able to make that happen with these referees, and it can't get to a point where you're slowing the pace of the game down by reviewing everything. But all we're asking for is consistency. There just has to be more consistency, not a need to review everything, because at the end of the day, the NFL, the NBA, the NHL are going to be games that are ticky-tacky at times, that are just split-second decisions, and you have to accept some are going to be right, some are going to be wrong. But obviously this year, I think, has really exemplified the issue with the referees in the NFL. And I'm not talking just as in a pure anger aspect about the Eagles and the way that some of the referees have called things over the last 2 weeks. This is an overall, like, I'm a football fan. I watch the other football games. I see some of this stuff happening in other football games too. And I see the inconsistency across games, across weeks. It's brutal across just officiating crews. They could call it one way one week and the next week call it completely differently. It's a major problem, and I just don't know. I mean, I would hate to have to be the guys who have to figure out how to address that problem and fix that problem, because there are constantly going to be some ref issues. But how do you mitigate it from where we have reached at certain points? Like, they bring in the people in the box, the officiating guys, and they talk about it. And I've never heard some of them talk so poorly about the refs and some of the situations. And, I think back to the Dean Blandino comment about you just can't ref this play when he got all upset about the tush push. You just can't ref a lot of plays properly in the NFL right now.
For him to change, there will be a new offensive play caller, but Sirianni won't say anything. The Eagles won't say anything. Maybe Monday they will, or maybe we'll just find out during the game when we see somebody else calling the plays, whoever it may be.
I agree with you on that point. And I've been listening to, some of the national media and what they've been talking about lately, and how they were saying you have to be able to hitch your wagon offensively, hitch your quarterback to a head coach. And it just sucks that the Philadelphia Eagles do not have that ability to do that, because we have Nick Sirianni in place and he doesn't call plays. He's not the offensive mind, not the full offensive mind necessarily to this troublesome offensive engine. And the next option, like we've kind of talked about in prior episodes, is find a guy who doesn't want to be a head coach anymore and a really good offensive mind, and make him the highest paid offensive coordinator, just like you made Vic Fangio one of the highest paid coordinators in the league. Do the same thing.
It's very rare.
It is rare
on the offensive side of the ball. Like, they got Fangio, they got lucky with that. But to be able to find somebody on the offensive side of the ball, like, who's it, Tom Moore?
Do you think a guy like Frank Reich would come up to the NFL and settle down?
No, I think he has aspirations of still trying to get one more shot at being a head coach. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm wrong, but I do think, he has aspirations of it. But, we'll see. I don't know if anybody would give him a shot after what happened in Carolina. Stanford sucked this year, too. I know that was the college game and whatnot. I don't know. We'll see. One of the other glaring things on the offensive side of the football, we were all talking about getting Tank Bigsby more carries. I think he may have played one offensive snap and got 0 touches the entire game. So everybody's clamoring to let's see what Bigsby can do, not give him half the carries, maybe give him 10 carries, because he's averaging 9 yards, and obviously that would come down if you got 10 carries. He may have seen the field once. I think they had him and Saquon on the field once together, and that was
You're correct. He played one snap, and it was a passing down. It was not even a rushing down.
Yeah. So, I just don't understand. I don't know if that's a Jonathan Singleton thing. I don't know if that's a Patullo thing. I don't know if that's a Sirianni thing. Now, look, Saquon was averaging 4 to 5 yards a carry, which is, but like he only had 13 carries. So they did not do enough getting Saquon the football or running the ball. Jalen running it, which if that report came out, it's true that he doesn't want to run it anymore. Like, that's what makes the running game for the Eagles, and that's what made Jalen Hurts a $50 million quarterback. If he doesn't want to run the football anymore, he's got to improve his passing. And that in the last couple of games, he has not been good throwing the football.
Yeah, he's just Jalen Hurts is not a pocket passer. And at this point in your career where he's like, what, 27 years old now?
27.
So like you're getting towards, your 30s, you don't change completely the style of how you play, and you don't suddenly become an extremely accurate pocket passer. If that was something he really wanted to do and really wanted to become, that was something you did when you come into the league and you tell the coach and staff, I want to improve as a pocket passer. I don't just want to be this guy that's going to run the ball. I get it. He's probably thinking to his next contract because I believe he's up for his extension next year. So he's probably thinking of that next contract and thinking, I don't want to hurt my value in a way by being that Russian quarterback and tear my Achilles or doing, God forbid, ending up with some sort of injury that puts him out for an extended period of time and could really impact his game going forward. Look at Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is a shell of himself this year, and he's banged up and has a different injury every single week. So I think Jalen Hurts just doesn't want to become one of those guys because he sees like his next contract could be his last contract if he's constantly going to be, running the football at the degree that the Eagles want him to. But to your point is exactly right. If you want to win more Super Bowls, it's going to be on the back of what an offense can do that's predicated on your legs and how often they can use your legs, because the QB draw was so important. The run-pass option where he chose to run the ball, so vitally important in the Eagles' offense, and we're not seeing it this year. And Kevin Patullo's an issue, but also, like you said, if that report is true, that report is definitely putting off like major blinking red lights for me, and this could be an issue going forward if he is not willing to put more of a load in the rushing attack again.
Yeah, they need to figure it out. And one thing Jalen said over the week leading up to the game is he wants the team to find an identity. We're in week 13. How the hell does this team not have an identity yet? I mean, like last year, after the bye week, they figured out, look, we can be a running team. They went on a historic running pace. That was the identity. This offense has zero identity right now. And again, it seems like whatever plays are being called, there's no rhyme or reason. There's no, we're going to call this the setup, that. We're going to run this formation and run this play out of this formation so that later on we can line up the same way, have the defense think that we're going to run what we ran before, and then run something totally different. They have none of that. And you mentioned it. This offense is rudimentary, it's simplistic. They run 3 or 4 routes from out at the receiver positions. So, like, I don't understand why it has taken this long. I mean, it's still taking this long because they don't know what their identity is. And we're going into the Chargers. We have 5 games left. And if they don't find an identity, if they don't figure it out on the offensive side of the football, they're going to blow the division. And definitely, if they make the playoffs, lose that first-round playoff matchup against whoever it is. It doesn't matter. They may not even beat the Raiders in 2 weeks. That's how bad they're playing right now. And the Raiders are awful.
The Raiders are horrible. I really don't want to think about that as a potential game that you lose. But, man, at this point, it's pretty hard to have much confidence. I mean, the only good thing there is, like, I know our defense could stop the Raiders. The issue is, can we put up enough points?
Can we stop Ashton Gentry? Do you see what our run defense has done the last couple of weeks?
This is true. And I was just looking back at, all the possessions. We had 1 possession out of 11 where we had ran more than 6 plays on offense. The majority of our drives were 5 plays or less. And the only drive that was more was the touchdown drive. That was obviously the defense was playing back. They were playing off, the prevent defense. They ran 12 plays. They got 90 yards down the field. They got the touchdown. And I know, like, there was some people saying, oh, maybe they need to run run this offense with more of a hurry up tempo going on.
I think they should.
I agree. I also think that if you're predicating that on, look what they did in those 12 plays, they did it in 12 plays because of how the defense was standing up.
That all season. They are much better when they're in a hurry up because you don't think in a hurry up offense. You just call the play and go. And I also think that in a hurry up offense, you can let Jalen pretty much call the plays. Now,
I agree.
Not
That's
all the time.
I think that I agree with you there. That's the most important part of that aspect of the offense. Patullo can call a play in, and Jalen Hurts is going to have the ultimate say in what happens in those situations where they're hurrying up. And I think that that's really important, and I think that that's something that they really probably should consider, because there's no way that you're finding an identity or changing this offense with what's left of the season. I think you have to work within the confines of what currently exists for you. And I think that the best way to do that is to take as much power away from Kevin Patullo in those given situations by moving to more of a hurry up, or just moving in a situation where you don't give him 15 seconds to think of the play that he's trying to call in.
Exactly. And so before we jump to the defensive side of the ball, after they scored that touchdown in the fourth quarter, they went for 2. I think it was a dumb, idiotic idea. They should have kicked the field goal. And I get it. Elliott missed the extra point earlier, but I feel like making the extra point is a lot easier than making the 2-point conversion. And you make the extra point, you're down by 1 possession. You have to get lucky to make the 2-point conversion and to get down by 7. I think kick the field goal, because then you could have kicked it deep. And I know that Chicago was running the ball really well, but maybe getting the touchdown, getting down by 1 possession would have given the defense a little bit of momentum and kind of got their swag back a little bit. What do you think? What would you have done on that?
I agree with you. I would have just kicked the field goal, made it the 1-score game. I get where Nick Sirianni's coming from. I just completely disagree. You take any bit of momentum that you can get in a game where you practically had no momentum from the first snap. So I think that it was vitally important that you take the momentum. You put the Bears on their heels. The Bears suddenly become more predictable because you just got to plug the holes. Don't give them a first down. And then if the ball ends up in Caleb's hands to have to throw the ball, he barely had to throw the ball. You make it so that their offense has to make something happen. And that might be all you need to force a turnover or force them to punt the ball back to you and give yourself an opportunity. There's a lot of talk about it, and it's very mixed, I think, in regards to the opinion on this. But I really think you just take the momentum, any type of momentum that you possibly can get in that spot. And in the back of the Bears' minds, becoming a 1-score game applies a bit more pressure, and that type of pressure is what can sometimes lead to those bad mistakes that happen. So I don't think it would have changed the outcome. If I'm being honest, it wouldn't have changed the outcome, but I wish he had to kick the field goal.
Yeah, and another decision that Sirianni made late in the game that's questionable. And for a guy that doesn't call plays, supposed to be a culture setter, supposed to make the decisions, he's not doing really well. And his 3 mantras, tough, detailed, together, they got out-toughed by the Bears. The details suck. And this team doesn't, at least offensively, this team doesn't play together right now. On the defensive side of the football, they gave up 281 yards rushing, gave up 2 100-yard rushers for the first time in, 30 years or 40 years, whatever it may be. Sidney Brown sucks. He can't be playing safety. He's awful. He missed 1,000 tackles. Jahad Campbell played 0 defensive snaps, and that was when Zach Bond and Nakobe Dean did they play? It felt like they didn't make a play. The defensive line, they couldn't get in, barely got pressure on Caleb Williams. It was just Quinyon Mitchell, he had a good game, and Dory Jackson was okay. But the one thing I mentioned on, when did we do the show? Thursday, was Ben Johnson is going to scheme to target Sidney Brown and Dory Jackson. And he did just that. Sidney Brown got beat a couple times, and Caleb Williams just didn't make throws. And it could have been a lot worse than it was. I don't know, and I get it. The defense has been on the field a lot. And again, I'm not putting the blame on the defense. They're the reason why we're eating 4 right now for the most part. But, man, they need to figure out something at that second safety position, because Sidney Brown is going to cost us more games down the stretch.
Yeah, it was Sidney Brown, Reed Blankenship, and Nakobe Dean were the nearest coverage to a target on 17 out of 31
Reed
targets.
Blankenship had a terrible game too.
Reed Blankenship had a bad game. I mean, he was really working the middle of that field, trying to take advantage of Brown. Even Nakobe Dean was put in spots, which is, uncharacteristic of Nakobe Dean. I mean, I think Sidney Brown only accounted for 13 yards. I would argue of giving up yards on coverage, but I would argue he was probably, if you roll back the film, more at fault for some of the situations that came up defensively. We missed a ton of tackles. PFF says 13. I would probably double that number because it was, even if you don't double it, the form was just terrible. The amount of times like a guy thought about going for a tackle and didn't because they were in the right position, or they said, F it, let's go for it anyways, and just looked like completely out of place and just the worst form. It felt like we went back to some of our really, really old, issues that we've had on defense in the past that haven't necessarily been as prevalent under Vic Fangio. But 13 missed tackles, I would say, was probably over 20 missed tackles. The coverage, they knew exactly where to go, what coverage to attack. It was a really bad game defensively. It was excruciating. And I know that a lot of people are saying the Bears have this amazing offensive line. They have a good offensive line. But one thing we have learned as Philadelphia Eagles fans, an offensive line always looks better when you can hide behind a run for as much as they were able to. We know it from last year. Now we have to drop back. We have to pass the ball a lot and look at the weaknesses, the glaring holes that are coming from all over our offensive line.
And being able to run.
It makes your life a lot easier when you're run blocking and not pass blocking.
Being able to run helps with the play action game. And Caleb Williams was able to do that, get outside the pocket, make runs when he needed to. Monungai had 130 yards. Swift had 125 yards. It felt like all the former Eagles, like Swift 125 yards and a touchdown, Byard an interception. Zacchaeus had a couple of catches. CJ had a couple of tackles. And if CJ at the end of the game said, I told you they would fold. And then he was on a podcast or whatever with Shady McCoy, and they were asking about the offense, and they were like, "Is it predictable?" And he just winked because he did say he had nothing bad to say about him because like he respects a lot of the guys that he played with. But I'll say it again, I wish we would have brought CJ back. We could have used his swagger, used his toughness. We know what type of player he is. When he's on the Eagles, they go to the Super Bowl. It's a proven fact. Like, he's been on the Eagles twice. They went to the Super Bowl twice. It's a proven fact. I wish that the Eagles would have brought him back, and he's thriving over there in Chicago right now, and he's helping that young defense. Well, they're not really a young defense, but they do have a lot of young players on that team, and to have the veterans like, CJ, Kevin Byard, they have Montez Sweat, on that defensive side of the football. TJ Edwards, even though he was out, they got Jalen Johnson and Kyler Gordon back. But AJ still had a good game for him, 10 catches, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns. So, he's starting to pick it up, but unfortunately that's not turning into wins. But one thing AJ did say a couple of weeks ago, which is turning out to be true, is we can't keep, and this is not verbatim, but he was just saying, like, we can't keep expecting the defense to win us games. Like, the offense keeps putting them in bad spots. The dam's eventually going to break. And that's no fault of the defense. And that's kind of what happened. The dam broke on Friday. 281 yards, and they only gave up 25 points, which is commendable. That's all they gave up. And that kind of tells me that the Bears aren't that great of a team. Like, they're a good team, obviously. But, like, the Rams would have put up 40 on us. Like, that's what the Bears should have put up on the Eagles. If we're totally honest. It shouldn't have come down, like, a single-digit game, whatever. I know it was on the road and whatnot. Again, I'm not taking anything away from the Bears. They deserve it. They kicked our ass. They dominated the game on both sides of the line of scrimmage. It was all the Bears. But, like, any better of a team, like the Rams or even maybe the Patriots, somebody like that, like, they put up 40 points on the Eagles the way they played on Friday.
Here's my 30-second story with Guinness. As soon as my sister and I get home for the holidays, we don't even unpack. We head straight to our pub. The bartender already knows our order, Guinness and fries. We laugh all night, catch up with old friends, and walk home with faces sore from smiling. It's one of my favorite nights of the year. That was my 30-second story with Guinness.
Guinness Draft Stout. Please enjoy responsibly. Imported by Diageo Beer Company, USA, New York, New York.
Thursday Night Football is on, and it's only on Prime Video.
Wide open, touchdown.
This week, the Dallas Cowboys and Detroit Lions face off in a high-octane clash.
Look at this. It's on the money.
Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern with football's best party. TNF Tonight, presented by Verizon. Not a Prime member? Not a problem. Simply sign up for a 30-day free trial. It's the Cowboys and Lions, Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, only on Prime Video. Restrictions apply. See Amazon.com/Amazon Prime for details.
This episode is presented by State Farm. Having insurance isn't the same as having State Farm. It's like needing the protection of an offensive guard on the football field, but getting an elementary school crossing guard. Sure, they're both guards, but you can only trust one to keep your quarterback safe when the game is on the line. So don't settle for just any insurance when there's State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Does it ever feel like you're a marketing professional just speaking into the void? But with LinkedIn ads, you can know you're reaching the right decision makers, a network of 130 million of them, in fact. You can even target buyers by job title, industry, company, seniority, skills, and did I say job title? See how you can avoid the void and reach the right buyers with LinkedIn ads. Spend $250 on your first campaign and get a free $250 credit for the next one. Get started at linkedin.com/campaign. Terms and conditions apply.
The who's down in Who Newville were making their list, but some didn't know Walmart has the best brands for their gifts.
What about toys? Do they have brands kids have been wanting all year?
Yep, Barbie, Tony's, and Lego. Gifts that will make them all cheer.
Do you mean they have all the brands I adore?
They have Nintendo, Nespresso, Apple, and more.
What about...
So the Who answered questions from friends till they were blue. Each one listened and shouted, from Walmart? Who knew? Shop gifts from top brands for everyone on your list in the Walmart app.
Yeah, I'm not going to take anything away from the Bears season. The Bears are having an amazing season. Obviously, you play the schedule that's in front of you. You're going to, they beat the Eagles. They're now going to go on and have a pretty solid gauntlet of 5 games here to wrap up the season, where they really got to continue to prove it. It's one game. They got to continue to prove it. I think they clearly have a chance to be really good. They have a chance to be great. I think they're a year, maybe even 2 years ahead of schedule. Usually when you get a new head coach in place, like Ben Johnson coming into town, you don't come out and become the number 1 seed at any point in your first year in the NFC like they are right now. So, of course, we're not going to take anything away from that. And I think that we're going to continue to see a lot over the next few weeks of these Bears. If they continue to win, it means I will absolutely walk some of my words back that I said through these 2 episodes. But at this point, you need to see it through and then get into the playoffs and what can you do from there. But I agree with you. I think I tweeted it at one point. This game was so much closer than the score was. It's 24-15, but they had 12 drives and own time of possession. They had like 30 minutes of time of possession.
Yeah, you meant to say the game wasn't as close as the score indicated.
Yes, yeah, exactly. And then we had 11 drives, but we only ran I think we ended up with 19 minutes of offense. We lost the time of possession battle by almost 10 minutes, and that's huge. That's massive. That's a humongous swing for a defense to have to manage through, especially when, like I said, we had, I think it was 4 out of 11 drives were 3 plays, 3 and outs. Those last usually a minute. That is it. So then the defense, who's going through an already grueling enough matchup, has to go back out there and continue to literally big men versus big men, big bodies having to be pushed out of the way and moving immovable objects. And then the running by Monangai and Swift was just so impressive. Like, I will not take anything away from the Bears, because we had many games in our time where we had to lean on our running back and our offensive line, and they looked spectacular. Look at many of our games last season. So when you're able to do that, and when you're able to lean on such a threatening duo like Monangai and DeAndre Swift, I mean, you can go a long way. We've seen it. You can go a long way with a really good running game and just having to go to the pass and attack when you need to go there. But this was, I think, the mini bye that we're getting is going to go a long way for this defense. They just ended up playing, like we said earlier in the episode, like 140 plus plays over a 6-day period. That is so grueling to do, and lost the time of possession battle in both of those matchups. So they've been on the field for the better part of 55 minutes across 6 days. That's tough. That's hard to ask of any defense, no matter how good they are. I'm hoping that the defense can get right going up against the Chargers. The Chargers still another pretty solid offense, but of course Herbert's going in for surgery. So
running the ball 40 plus times for 190 plus yards. If they saw the game Friday, which obviously they did, they're going to watch the tape. That's what they're going to do, and it's Harbaugh. Harbaugh wants to be the more physical team. Harbaugh's going to want to run the football. That's exactly what the Chargers are going to do Monday night. And if the Eagles aren't prepared for
100%.
that, they're going to give up another big day on the ground. It was funny, though, before the game, they interviewed Jalen, and like one of the questions was, the Bears lead the league in turnovers, so like how do you counteract that? And he goes, well, we lead the league in fewest turnovers. And then he goes out and has 2 by himself, the interception to Byard, and he fumbled the tush push. So like they have to get back to, I hate to say get back to the basics, because who knows, this offense can't get any more basic than it is. But they need to figure something out. Like, I don't know what needs to be done, but they have to figure it out, and they have to figure it out quick, because, the side mirrors on the cars that says object behind you is closer than it appears or something like that? That's the Dallas Cowboys. Again, we talked about it 3 weeks ago, this division. We thought the division was over pretty much, and the Eagles could have clinched the division this week. That's not happening. Dallas has Detroit and then 4 very winnable games after that. If they beat Detroit, they may win out. And if they win out, they finish 11-5-1. The Eagles are going to have to go, if that happens, the Eagles are going to have to go 5-1 or 4-1 the rest of the year. I don't know if they're going to. They have the Chargers, Raiders, Washington, Bills, Washington. We know that the Bills are going to be fighting for a playoff spot. Season is pretty much over, but they played tough against the Broncos yesterday. And they would love to play spoilers to the team that knocked them out the playoffs last year. So nothing is to be taken for granted going forward. If the Eagles don't turn it around, this could potentially be a much worse collapse than the 2023 season.
Yeah, I mean, we were trying to silence the whole talk about 2023 a couple weeks ago. And I mean, I get it. 10-1 to what 2023 finished as. And then this situation, I mean, I guess you're going 4-2, 4-2, 4-2 the whole way. It doesn't feel as bad as blowing up 10-1. But I mean, at no point in this season have we ever really said we felt comfortable or we feel good or we feel confident in this. Well, maybe through the first couple weeks, because it's just the start of the season is just like the preseason for some of these guys. But it truly, at this point now, all the feelings that we've been feeling definitely are coming to fruition, and we're really feeling it week in and week out, that there's no reason to have much confidence in this team. I mean, the boos are raining down, the fire Kevin Patullo chants are raining down, and I understand.
There's a sign leading to the link that had fire Kevin Patullo.
Yes, I saw that on Patterson Ave. There's construction sign. Times are tough. The only thing I completely disagree with is a video going around that they're egging the poor guy's house. I don't think you have to go to that extreme. It's very frustrating. I get it. We're frustrated as fans. We shouldn't do things like that. If you want to go out there and rent a construction sign and have it flash fire Kevin Patullo for 24 hours or whatever you can afford to do, by all means, at this point, he deserves it. He deserves to be fired. Nothing has changed. This offense is hard to watch, like you said, or demoted. It doesn't even, at this point, you're probably stuck with the playbook. So you take it and you call it the way that you feel it can be maximized. And I feel like a guy like Scott Loeffler probably could do that. I feel like the next man up should be that guy. I don't think it should be Nick Sirianni. I don't think he should be a play caller. The Detroit Lions had fun for a couple weeks with that, and we're starting to see the ramifications of just passing it over to a head coach who's supposed to be a culture builder. I mean, then at what point then it's well, what is Sirianni good for? You can't even keep the culture together at this point. So
I will say, though, the one thing about if Sirianni was able to call plays, they wouldn't have this issue every year. They would have to try to find an offensive coordinator.
He should take some notes. I mean, at this point, he must have taken enough notes to be able. That's what Dan Campbell said. I've seen enough. I saw what Ben Johnson was doing. I'm going to give this a go. He had Kellen Moore last year. He's learned what not to do. He sandwiched 2 what not to do coordinators between Kellen Moore. He's been there with Shane Steichen. He should know how to call plays and do it pretty effectively. I mean, it doesn't mean I have confidence in him taking it over by this point. Anyone but Patullo would be my mindset. And then the turnovers, like you said, tweeted at one point during the game, and I was just kind of we don't have to live and die on that play. I know that everyone started getting upset, like, forward progress was stopped and blah, blah, blah. I think that's one of the problems with the NFL. Forward progress is such an open and such an ambiguous phrase and is so open to whatever, whenever the referee wants to blow the whistle type of judgment. So I think it's part of the issue that referees have, and it makes their jobs a million times harder deciding when that forward progress has truly, truly been stopped. We've seen situations where a whistle would have been blown in that situation, and we've seen situations where they're going to say, no, why would we blow it? His legs are still moving. It looks like there's a bit of movement, and the ball comes out. Like, we've seen so many of the situations go either way. But, I mean, you don't have to live and die on that play. When things aren't working, and even the tush push has not worked over the past, 3 weeks, there's been teams actually stopping the tush push. It really genuinely feels like...
Defenses usually catch up to the offenses, so... They did the Wildcat. Yep. It was only a matter of time before they figured out how to stop or at least slow down the tush push. It also helps.
Absolutely.
It also doesn't help that the Eagles' offensive line's not healthy. I do think that's a big issue too.
It's not healthy, and it hasn't been very good at any point this year. I mean, you need to be kind of good, but I think that they probably missed not being able to get the running game going because run blocking is a lot easier than pass blocking. When they're in this point now where they're banged up and they're forced to pass block more than they're forced to run block, I feel like that's probably making some of these injuries and some of the pain that they're fighting through a lot more painful and a lot harder to work through.
Yep. Well, hopefully things turn around. We haven't had a victory green hour.
Been a depressing couple weeks. This was a depressing, 10-day stretch where we did preview, review, and had to watch those 2 games in between. It was tough.
In the NFL games yesterday, everybody besides the Raiders, the Titans, and the Vikings, every other offense looked 1,000 times better than the Eagles. So it's frustrating that you see receivers running wide open, you see offenses getting creative and not running the same 3 routes. It's frustrating, but hopefully they figure it out. And again, I will stick by the notion. It would not shock me if the Eagles have a different play call on Monday night in LA. We'll see.
I hope so. We
won't hear about it, obviously, but I think that it's not going to be Patullo. That's all I'll say. I don't have any reason, but just it's a gut feeling that it's going to be somebody else because Sirianni likes the competitive advantage. He's not going to go and say, "Hey, we're going with this guy," so that the Chargers can go and watch Bowling Green tape if it's Scott Loeffler. If it's Park Frazier, they call or they go back and watch the 8 games or whatever it was of the Colts when he was the offensive coordinator. So we'll see what happens.
And the fact that he came back after the weekend and said he evaluated things has all the feelings of Jeffrey Lurie or Howie Roseman knocked at my door. It has all the feelings of somebody made you think and somebody's telling you, you can say what you want in front of people. You're changing that play caller for next Monday night. That had all the feelings of it.
Put too much money into this team and everybody a lot of people were throwing the D word around. And right now they look far from it. And we'll see if the Eagles can get back on track as they head into week 4. I can't believe we're in week 14 already. Or week 13, whatever it is. Week 13, 14, whatever's coming up in the NFL. This season is flying by. I can't believe it's already December. It's insane how quickly the year goes by, especially when it hits football season. We'll be back on Friday to get you set for the Eagles and the Chargers. We'll have a review show where we give our thoughts on the game, our players of the game, keys to the game, our unheralded player of the week from this previous week in the NFL, and then give our prediction for the Eagles and the Chargers. As always, follow us on Twitter at Kelly Green Hour. Follow Connor on Twitter at Connor10. Follow me on Twitter at LJHerrell54. And follow the Eagles Pinpool Network on Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, and wherever you get your podcasts. For Connor, I'm LJ. Thank you all for tuning in to the Kelly Green Hour.